What I love about Hammonton the most is the people that live here.
The people? The people are fantastic.
La calidad de las personas.
The way the community gets together.
It seemed like a sense of community.
Yeah, strong sense of community.
I love how sincere everyone in Hammonton is.
We're also rooted in tradition here.
The traditions among the town.
The arts.
Activities and sports.
The bar and restaurant scene. Events. Friends and families.
The small town feel of Hammonton.
I would love to see Hammonton have more biking trails.
I feel like we need to expand more on the arts.
There can be more inclusivity with everybody. I'd like to see the diversity continue.
More outdoor dining.
More playground equipment that's updated.
Accessible playgrounds and open spaces.
Downtown, they should have more stores and stuff, for people to go in.
More police officers on duty at night.
Even more artists.
I would like to see movies theater here.
Más eventos comerciales.
More people here need to get more involved.
I think it's important to get involved.
It would be nice to see more people involved because it really is a wonderful town.
Good evening, all. We're going to start the meeting. It's the July 6th meeting. I just said June to Tom about another matter. It is July, Stephen. It's about 6:15. I apologize. We're supposed to be in open at 6 o'clock. We ran a couple of minutes late for closed. Roll call again, please, Frank.
Councilperson Fagioni?
Yeah, here.
Gribben?
Here.
Oliva?
Here.
Olivo?
Here.
Rodeo?
Here.
Woolerman?
Here.
Mayor DiDonato?
Here.
Present also, Chris Fallon is sitting in for Town Solicitor. Bob Batiste, Public Works Manager. Notice of this meeting has been posted and given to official newspapers. Please familiarize yourselves with the fire exits to the right and rear of council chambers. Please do not proceed beyond the front benches without invitation from the mayor to do so. And also, each person who wishes to address council will be allotted 5 minutes.
All rise for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I guess this is the first of two opportunities for public to be heard. Somebody wants to step to the mic on action items. I know there's a couple, there's one hot topic that a few of you are here for. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to explain it, and then we'll reopen up to the public so you can give your input. Okay? Because I think you have a few questions. Let's start with Mr. Fallon. Lead us off, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have two items for tonight. The first is a proposed redevelopment agreement. And at this point, this is the West End Development Associates Urban Renewal LLC that has proposed to enter into a redevelopment agreement with the town. And this is for a residential townhome community on West End Avenue. And I believe we had discussed negotiating with the redeveloper in more detail, so perhaps council may consider entertaining active negotiations.
Yeah, we'd like to, I believe council in closed sessions felt they'd like to entertain negotiations. I'd like to name an ad hoc committee with council's approval of Woolerman, Olivo, and Fagioni, with Woolerman being the chair, since he sits on the planning board, if that's acceptable to council. All right.
I'll second that.
Second, Gribben. Okay. All in favor of that ad hoc committee?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So that those council persons will sit and negotiate. This is for West End Avenue. This parcel is between Orchard and Fairview, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's between Orchard and
Messina.
Yeah.
Messina.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well,
Right?
Well, Orchard and Fairview.
Orchard
Yeah,
and Fairview.
Orchard and Fairview, right there.
Washington and Messina.
East to west, yeah.
That big block.
It's a large block. It's a large parcel. Formerly, well, this currently is owned by John B., and there's a developer interested in buying it and putting up townhouses. All right?
The old fruit co-op.
All right, so everybody's, I think we've covered that for tonight, right?
Yes, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fallon. Go ahead, you have something else?
I do. The second is a proposed resolution. This is Resolution 97-2022. This is determining that the premises identified on the municipal tax map as Block 2608, Lots 1 and 2, and Block 2902, Lot 12, constitute a redevelopment area as specified by statute. Would you like me to read the resolution?
Please.
Okay. Whereas Mayor and Council approved Resolution 104, 2019, authorizing the Planning Board to conduct an investigation to determine, pursuant to NJSA 40A:12A-5 and 40A:12A-6, whether the area in question, comprised of Block 2608, Lots 1 and 2, and Block 2902, Lot 12, is an area in need of redevelopment without the municipality's use of its eminent domain power And whereas the Planning Board at its meeting of June 1st, 2022 conducted a hearing, the result of which was that the area in question be determined by the municipal governing body to be a redevelopment area. And whereas following a receipt of the Planning Board's recommendation, Mayor and Council are to determine whether to adopt or reject that recommendation. And whereas Mayor and Council have given careful consideration to the Planning Board's recommendation and the report of findings, non-condemnation preliminary redevelopment investigation, Washington and 11th Street study area prepared by Stuart B. Weiser of ARH Associates and dated April 27th, 2022. And then there's a recommendation from there as part of the resolution that on this 6th day of July resolved that the property referenced above is a redevelopment area, and the municipal clerk is hereby directed to forward a copy of the resolution to the Commissioner of Community Affairs for his or her review and take any other action required by local redevelopment and housing law.
Thank you. Mr. Weiser, you want to come up to the mic and give everyone a description of,
Sure. And I will...
Get us out of the weeds and try to do it in layman's terms here, sir?
Absolutely. I will try to do this very quickly. What we're talking about tonight is 3 lots. One is the rather large lot that fronts on 11th and Washington. That is the community garden property. The other one is a small privately owned lot that is right next to it. And then the third property is the city's DPW yard. Council and the mayor, I think it was before the pandemic, it was 2019, entertained a resolution, adopted a resolution asking the planning board to take a look at these properties to see if they qualified under the redevelopment law as being in need of redevelopment. Time passed, pandemic happened, what have you. We were authorized to do this probably ARH was authorized to take a look at it maybe about 6 months ago, maybe not quite 6 months ago. We took a look at it and wrote our report. The goal is to determine whether or not any of those 3 properties meet any one of the 8 statutory criteria that are required under the redevelopment law for being in need of redevelopment. Once that happens, the town can then adopt a redevelopment plan. The redevelopment plan is sort of like a master plan as to how you see that property, those properties being developed. We took a look at the 3 lots. We found that they met individually various of the 8 criteria for being in need of redevelopment. We prepared our report dated April 27th. We submitted it to the planning board. The planning board, whatever the date was that was on the resolution, I don't remember, held a public hearing, which included enhanced public notice as required by law. At the end of that, people were permitted to speak. At the end of that public hearing, the board adopted a resolution referring the study over to you as the governing body with a recommendation that the lands be declared to be in need of redevelopment. That's effectively the action that's before you this evening. I didn't go, I know Jonathan, when he told me to come tonight, told me to be very, Councilman Oliva, pardon me, told me to be very quick. So that's the thumbnail. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, I know there's been some rumors through the town that we're going to put low-cost housing in this location. What this enables the town to do, if approved by council tonight, is to go out and negotiate with developers and see what their vision is for this parcel. Is that, you know, what's their best use? Is that a senior living, small bedrooms for seniors? Is that market rate units? Whatever the case may be. But there is nothing right now that this mayor or this council knows who's interested. We don't even know if there's anybody interested. We have to go out and see what's out there. So that's where we're at. So if somebody says it's low-cost housing coming, that we cannot tell you that's going to happen. If they tell you it's all market rate, we can't tell you that's going to happen. We're going to have to see what's out there, and then this council and this town will have to make a decision. So that's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
So, assuming you act affirmatively tonight, and the clerk sends the paperwork up to the DCA, the next step would be the drafting of a redevelopment plan, which we have already submitted a proposal for that. Once that redevelopment plan is drafted, it goes to the planning board for a review with consistency with the master plan. It comes back to you as an amendment to your land use ordinance, so it's adopted by ordinance. That's 2 readings, public hearing.
So now, this is where we said we're going to do something a little different. Now, I know some of you would like to speak, so please come on up to the mic and share with us your opinion, please. Please. This is property near you, I'm sure. Just please give us your name and address, please, if you don't mind.
Susan Piccioni Cruz. My address is 232 South Washington Street. I'm extremely nervous, so excuse me. First of all, let me just say this. I lived in Hammonton many years ago, and I was forced to move away. And I was at a point in my life where I could go anywhere in the world that I wanted, anywhere in the States that I wanted to go. And I chose Hammonton. I came back home. This is my home. And when I see projects like this coming in to my front yard, it upsets me. I want a neighborhood. I want a community. I don't want people moving in and out of apartments. I don't want traffic wailing down my street. I was backing out of my driveway back in October, and somebody went flying down the street and hit my car. Not my fault. He was speeding like going 80 miles an hour. I was 12 inches out of my driveway. So these are the types of things that I don't want to happen to my neighborhood. I work very hard. When I come home every day, I am proud of my home. I am proud to be a Hammontonian. And I don't want chaos across the street from my home. And that's what it's going to be. I'm hearing rumors that it's going to be a transportation village. Why do we have to worry about everybody else? Let's worry about us. We're damaging this community with all this building that's going on. Our town, our local town in the middle of town, we can't support the businesses that we have. They close the doors and we open it, and we're trying. I support all my local businesses. But if you bring in all these other businesses, it's just going to be vacant properties. I mean, it's going to really do damage to our town. And I know a lot of people, and I'm surprised there's not more people here, because I know a lot of people that are very much against this, a lot. And I could probably get you 1,000 signatures in a week. When you have, and then I'm hearing that the property, the community garden is no big deal to lose it. Did we not see the magazine 08037 that made the community garden a focal point for Hammonton, and now we're just going to rip it away for development? I mean, it's something I was so happy when I see people go in there and care for the land. The older people in our community go there and take care of that land. It's not fair to take that away from them. And what about, isn't that land supposed to be contaminated? And now all of a sudden it's not contaminated? How does that happen?
Contaminated,
I heard, now this is again rumors, fertilizer, lots of fertilizer there, so the land can't be developed because it's contaminated, the oil from the garages and the whole thing. And now all of a sudden it can be developed.
that would all have to be tested. If that's the case, they'd have to do a phase 1, phase 2 study and do their due diligence. I don't know of anything on the one parcel. Please come up to the mic. Come on up to the mic, please.
But the land's contaminated.
Come on up to the mic, please. It's not fair to the residents at home. They can't hear what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Can you state your name and address? I'm sorry, I need your name and address.
My name is Christina Pinto, 268 Washington Street. This gentleman here to my left, the last meeting we had, he said that right before the meeting, he was told that there was contamination on that land, or possible contamination that was discussed years ago, and he did not know of it until that meeting. So, it's known. Yeah.
I just want to, finish up by saying that I'm very concerned with the traffic. I think that it's going to the town is just so, you have multiple families living in single-family homes. We see it all the time. People dropping kids off from other neighborhoods to get their kids to go to our schools, dropping them off at people's houses, right on the corner of my house. I can give you the address. It happens, and with this type of development, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse, and I cannot afford any more taxes. So I said my piece. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Come on up to the mic, please, Stuart. Please.
I think the young lady clarified, I did not discover any contamination in terms of what she is talking about. As part of somebody from, I believe, the audience represented that there was contamination, the same way we heard about what apparently the rumors are for what that development is going to be. I can say that in our report, we did indicate that there was historic groundwater contamination, that remediation took place, and DEP indicated an unrestricted use on one of the lots. And on the second lot, again, historic contamination remediation took place. So on 2 lots, be quick, 2 lots, there was historic fill, historic identified contamination that had been remediated, and unrestricted use classification was issued by DEP. To the extent that there is anything other than that, we did not identify it. We were not, it was beyond the scope of what we did. And I think, Mayor, you're right. Any developer that comes in is going to have to address any of those site conditions, be it anything from wetlands to underground storage tanks to full-blown contamination as part of their development process, according to law.
Thank you. All right.
So just so that
Please.
we move ahead with adopting this resolution and get proposals, doesn't mean we have to do anything.
No, all you're doing is basically saying, if you move ahead tonight, affirmative vote tonight would be moving ahead to say you want to hear what's out there. It doesn't say you're absolutely selling. It doesn't say you're not selling. It says you just want to see what your options or
so we don't
what the
have-
town's options are.
So we don't have to, we could approve the resolution and then not see what's out there and then not do anything at all about it, well, depending on the proposals. Or is that something different?
If I may just work through the process. So tonight, you're basically making a designation. You're saying the existing conditions out there are such that it qualifies as being a redevelopment area. Then it goes to a redevelopment plan where you have control over what it is you want to see there. Then you go out and you try to find somebody who's going to build what you want to see. As part of it, unlike what you would normally do for municipally owned land, which is have to auction it off, what you're permitted to do is negotiate, just like the town would be a private citizen, you can negotiate a sale. If you don't like the terms of what is being offered, and this happens all the time, I deal with it all the time. If somebody comes in and says, we want to build X, Y, and Z here, and we want to pay you A, B, and C, and you don't like that deal, you don't take that deal. You become a private actor.
And we can also set the parameters of what we want to see there and see if a developer will meet those.
That's the process. Yes,
Right.
that's what a redevelopment plan is.
That's the
And
first.
This is only a designation moving forward with the planning board's recommendation that it meets the criteria to be designated redevelopment. The other point is, like you suggest, the planning process also has public input all through the process.
Certainly does.
So there will be a series of meetings where interim reports will be made in terms of what is being contemplated as the vision for that particular property under the broad rubric of a redevelopment plan. And before anything that is actually adopted, there is, again, a public hearing process.
There's a public hearing before the planning board and a public hearing before council before the ordinance is adopted.
So in essence, many opportunities for public input.
This really is authorizing the next step of a multi-step public process.
Pretty much putting the plan in motion.
Correct.
If it ever gets to that point, you find them 1,000 people and fill this room, tell them you don't want it.
Well, what I
All
do,
you got to do, and it'll go away.
hold on a minute. What I think would be relevant here, what I think would be relevant is this.
15 years is what happens.
While there's a plan that'll be presented to planning board, correct? Planning and zoning?
It will be yes, it will be created, it will be presented to the board, and then it will be presented to you.
Right, so any redevelopment that's proposed, the redeveloper should be here to present the plan to the public, both on the planning side and in front of council.
That happens in yet a further step.
Yeah,
So the first step is the adoption of the redevelopment plan. That's like a zoning ordinance for that section of town.
I understand that, but what I'm saying, though, is if we adopt this here tonight, in fairness to the residents, they should have input as to what may or may not go there. And the way to do that is to have public hearings, not only on the planning and zoning side, but on the council side, and have the developer present a plan.
Yes, when it comes time.
There will be a public hearing, right? If let's say we say everybody votes affirmative to this, and I have no idea how everybody's voting. I want to preface my remarks by saying that. The next step would be to go down the road and possibly say, okay, what's our vision? We're looking for 30 townhouses. We're looking for 5 houses. We're looking for 1 massive house. Okay? And then you go out and see what it's worth. And then they have to come back, he or she's going to have to come back and get council to vote yay to the sale or nay.
And the conditions that are weaved in and out.
In and out, yeah. All right. Please come up to the mic.
Not quick.
No, it's not quick. I would say you could be looking at 6 to 12 months before we can come back, possibly with somebody who might be interested. It might take longer depending on them. I mean, if in all honesty, it's driven by the economy. If we go into recession and housing slows, we could maybe have nobody for 3 or 4 years looking at this.
Okay, I vote for the one big house.
Stuart, find that person to buy that one big lot.
And I don't know if you know the answer to this, and not to feed into any rumors, but if by chance there were contamination, if there were, remediation would be at the cost of the developer, not the town.
That is my starting point when I write a redevelopment plan. Now, if you decide that the project is so good, you as council decide that the project is so good that you want to kick in for part of that, that is a decision you make at the time. But my starting point is that the town's not out of pocket.
Ultimately, we as council have control of that.
Sure.
Yeah, until you get a phase 1 and a phase 2 and possibly if it's necessary, soil samples, nobody's going to know.
Right.
Everybody's honestly just grabbing at straws right now.
We were going to put this building out there at one time, if I remember right.
Town Hall was going to be there one time.
Yeah. So the contamination didn't go nowhere. If it wasn't there then, why would it be there now? No.
I can't say that. I can't say that's why they didn't build it there. They didn't build it there because at the time the political winds changed, and they felt that this was a better location to support the downtown in this area to keep town hall downtown. So I wouldn't say it was because of pollution or anything else. I honestly don't know. And Mr. Batiste has been here a lot longer than myself. He's been in the engineer. Do you know of any contaminant, honestly, that's out there, Bob?
I think when we were originally looking for town hall, there might even be some borings or maybe a study that was done, but I'm not sure. I know that prior uses, the county was a yard there, years ago.
County was what?
Atlantic County had a storage yard there.
Okay.
I think the reality that DEP issued no further action, unrestricted findings for the 2 lots tells you something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Come on up to the mic, please.
Keep going.
Please, we want you to, please, this is what's so important. We need to hear your voices.
So my first question might be for you, sir. When they talk about let's see what's out there, as in finding developers, how much does that cost taxpayers in terms of going out to get these quotes or?
You know what, there's really no way to know at this time. It could be, and it's all up to a strategy that presumably we will collectively put together, but it's your strategy. I have done this where it's a simple ad in the newspaper. I've also done an international search for a developer. So, now the reality is we're not looking on an international search for these 3 properties, but it all depends on how wide a reach council wishes to go to see who might be out there.
All right, thank you. And then I think Tom called this finding some parameters, I guess, of us having a say in what would go there. I like the word parameters, Tom. So I don't know who wants to answer this, but in your eyes, what does success or a win look like for the town with this land?
There's no winner and loser here. This is what the taxpayers want. This is ultimately taxpayers' property, right? There's 15,000 people that have a piece of dirt out here. So we want to do what's best for the whole town. We don't want to say, okay, it's good. Somebody offers you $500,000 or $1 million. That sounds great, but what are the strings? What are the ramifications? What's the impact to the schools? What's the impact to the roads? What's the impact to the residents? So that's all things we have to weigh. So there's not going to be a winner and there's not going to be a loser here. It's not a game. It's something we take extremely serious, and it's the vision of this piece of property or the vision of this council is very important, whether it's 11th Street, whether it's the town hall building, whether it's whatever we're involved in. I think we all take our responsibility very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear about this, I'm a new property owner. I've only been there for 4 years. I had no intentions to leave. But then you hear about affordable housing, like they put in a few units on Main Road, and it's turned into not what you would think you would get for $1,800 a month per unit. It's scary as a homeowner who pays a lot in taxes that we're going to be living across from it. I didn't sign up to live in affordable housing development. I bought a house on the street, and it's not what we agreed to when we bought the house. And I hope, I respect every one of you, and I hope that you make a good decision with this land, but I don't want to lose 25% value on my house either. So in terms of us and all the residents that live on Washington Street, put yourself in our shoes.
Well, I would say, again, we're not even on the starting block yet, but if I had my pick of the litter, I would say I'd like to see a market rate, something similar to Judith Court, where they're townhomes, single-family townhomes. I don't know, and again, this is just me speaking, and I'm probably speaking out of turn, but I don't know that an apartment complex, even if it's market rate apartment complex or over 55 is right for there, including storefronts and things of that nature. To me, something like a Judith Court where their townhomes would fit and it would increase people's property value, that would be my vision. That's my vision alone, if we had to go down that road.
I appreciate that, because I've asked a lot of people up here separately about that, and I've never gotten an answer of what could come. Just all I've heard is we don't know yet, so I appreciate that. Just a thought of something to ease us to think that something better than affordable housing is coming to our front yard. So thank you.
I promise you one.
It's a shame that someone told you all that, because we're not even there yet, as you can see now tonight. That you even heard them rumors. It's a shame.
Yeah, that would be my vision as well, what Mr. Fragioni said. As opposed, because it's a residential area, I wouldn't want to see storefronts there. That's my vision. I didn't want to see a town hall there either, so at one point in time I voted on that not being there. So I didn't think that belonged there either, so that's just my vision as well. But again, we're only at the starting block, and we have a long way to go before anything ever gets done, correct?
I promise you one thing, your house is not going to go down 25% in Hammonton. I was just looking at, you can hold me to it. I was just looking.
Go to the tax off, the
You-
tax collector.
I'm here and you call me anytime.
And it should also be pointed out that the town had a long, long battle with the state over COA and affordable housing and years. We had a consultant in and all sorts of things. And basically, correct me if I'm wrong, the settlement is 15% set aside for an apartment complex.
Ms. Bishop done a tremendous
so
job for
it's
this
not-
town. Tremendous.
Again, I'm speaking out of turn, and it's not back in the day where you had to build an affordable complex. It's 15% set aside. So it's a lot different if an apartment complex were to ever get constructed than you currently have that situation.
But it has to be 15%.
If it's apartments, it does, correct?
Any development of over 10 units has to have a set aside of 15%.
And that's a law from the state of New Jersey.
That's correct.
But not market rate if they sell them.
It still has, even if they sell them, it has to have a set aside of 15%.
A very upscale townhouse development come in as well.
Or they
There
could
would be
pay
a
us for
few-
that and we'd have to agree to accept the money.
They could pay us for that.
They could pay in lieu of doing,
15%
let's say it was
set aside.
10, and you had to have one unit that was affordable. They could say in lieu of deeding that one unit affordable, we're going to pay the town a fee.
1 out of 10 would be affordable, not the whole project.
Right.
All right. Any more questions, concerns? All right, we'll close that public portion. All right. With that, I guess we have
We need a
a
first and a
motion on the
second.
floor.
Right.
A first and second, and then we have to go to a vote on this project. Council like to entertain a motion on this.
I'll move it, Mayor.
Willerman first,
I'll second the motion.
Liva second. Now, this is a first and a second to go to the next step in this journey, correct? Okay. Any additional discussion from council?
I just want to say that I appreciate the comments of the public that came out to speak, because I know that's not easy, so I certainly appreciate that. And we do take into consideration that. Like we said, this is just to start even looking at the potential. We have land in town that can be developed. I'm not looking to. I know that some other council members talked about their vision, and I will say personally, I'm not looking to change the overall landscape of that area in any dramatic way. And it would have to be, a proposal that would blend with that area, I think, for me to support. But this is something that has been recommended to us unanimously by the planning board, at least to consider. We would have control over this process. This is unlike selling these pieces or these parcels of land and then allowing whoever buys them to develop it how they see fit. I like having the control over whether we will actually move forward with a program here. So for that purpose only, I'm interested in seeing how it could be developed, and if it's developed in a way that I think is appropriate for all 15,000 residents, we'll see. So that's all I have to say.
I think that considering that, one of the things that this gives us by designating it this way is greater flexibility in what happens there in the final analysis. It gives us flexibility in terms of zoning issues that would get in the way otherwise. It really allows us, if we do our due diligence and we get the right developer and we get enough input from the residents, hopefully to come into something that would be very, very, very much an addition to the community and not a detriment. So that's what the intent is. It's not to try to saddle the neighborhood with something that we'll all regret into the future, but to get the tools to do a job that hopefully will produce a fruitful result. And in the final analysis, if we don't get that, we don't do anything.
Well, in the end, it might even be better.
Pardon me?
If we develop it properly, it'll actually be better
Better.
on that corner and make the whole neighborhood better.
We can only hope.
If it's developed properly.
Right.
Actually make your home worth more money than what it is.
And I hope that if council does choose to go that way, as a person who is the chairperson of the Quality of Life Committee.
That's why we're here.
And also as a person who is a grower and works in the community garden myself, I would hope that we as council would consider the replacement of the community garden in another town-owned parcel and property. I think there's a lot we can do there. We rebuilt some beds this year, working with Public Works, and appreciate their support always, and Amy and the rest of the green team and everything they do. But I think that we could imagine that in a way, in the event that we were to move forward at another parcel that the town owns, because that's certainly not something that I would want to lose as a member of council and as a member of the community. It is something that's personally very important to me and my family.
Okay. Additional discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Fagioni?
Yes.
Gribben?
Yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
Olivo?
Yes.
Rodeo?
Yes.
Excuse me, Woolerman?
Yes.
Mayor DiDonato?
Yes, motion carried.
And the last thing we have is we have an introduction of ordinance 17 of 2022. This is by title only, and this is for registration of foreclosure of mortgage properties.
Can I get a motion from council for his read, please?
So moved.
Olivo first.
Second.
Second, Gribben. Discussion. This ordinance is for properties that are in foreclosure. We get fees for those properties
Correct.
while they're boarded up until the bank puts them on the market. And it steps up over time, and it's a vehicle that hopefully helps prod the institution into moving quicker.
Fees to be paid for by the institution, by the bank.
Right.
By the institution, and those fees are in the hopes that unit gets turned over to another family and gets sold, so it's not a eyesore for a neighborhood.
We took initial steps on this years ago.
Yep.
So we could watch and make sure the grass is maintained. If it's not maintained, we'll go in there and cut it and charge them. But the biggest thing is, other municipalities do this. You ramp up the fees with the bank in the effort that they come and do a cleanup, fix the unit, and sell it, as opposed to leaving it boarded up for some extended period of time.
You ramp it up high enough, they come.
Get moving. They'll
It'll
still
get
sell.
moving.
Yes. Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Fagioni?
Yes.
Gribben?
Yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
Olivo?
Yes.
Rodeo?
Yes.
Woolerman?
Yes.
And Mayor DiDonato.
Yes, motion carried. Anything else for the good of the order, Mr. Fallon?
Further, Mayor.
Mr. Zuber?
I'm good, thank you, Mayor.
Council, anything else for the good of the order? We have to give way to the planning board, who is 8 minutes from coming into your homes. So with that, I accept the motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Gribben, Oliva, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good night, Hammonton. Thank you. Thank you very much.